That was Andre Day with Rise Up. Welcome to the Rise Weekly Review for July 19th through July 26, 2021. A shootout on the east side Sunday resulted in the death of a man. According to reports, around 5:45 p.m., a man and three others were driving south on the 9700 block of Avenue L. They reportedly saw a group of men sitting on the porch of a home on the block. The people in the vehicle opened fire on the men. The men returned fire, striking the 26-year-old driver several times. The driver continued to drive in an attempt to escape, but ended up crashing into a parked vehicle closer to the viaducts near 99th. The 26-year-old was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. A 16-year-old was also taken to Trinity Hospital for a laceration. Reports have not indicated whether he was in the car or on the porch. Anyone with information on Chicago crimes is asked to call 311 or leave an anonymous tip at cpdtip.com. A shooting in South Shore left a man dead on Friday. Around 7:30 p.m., the man identified as 19-year-old Gennaro DeBerry was walking near the sidewalk on the 7000 block of South Merrill. According to reports, someone began firing at DeBerry, striking him multiple times. He was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. A shooting in South Shore early Saturday, late Friday, left a man wounded. Around 2:56 a.m., the 21-year-old man was walking on the 2800 block of East 75th Street between Arthur Ashe Park and Rainbow Beach. According to reports, a man walked up to him and shot him, striking him in the right leg. The man went to South Shore Hospital and was last reported in fair condition. A shooting in South Chicago left a 19-year-old wounded. According to reports, the 19-year-old was on the 8600 block of South Kingston around 1:15 p.m. on Saturday when a group of people walked up to him. One of the people in the group pulled out a gun and fired at him, striking him in the left shoulder. He was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center, where his condition was stabilized. On Sunday, a car crashed into a liquor store, left two injured on the South Chicago-South Shore border. According to reports, around 8:27 p.m., a driver heading west in the parking lot of AB Food and Liquors located at 7908 South Exchange Avenue slammed into the front door of the store. The vehicle hit an adult and child who were walking out the door. According to a witness, the lady struck was pinned under the car and the driver took off. The adult woman was taken to the University of Chicago Medical Center and the child to Comer Children's Hospital. No information was released on their condition. Police are searching for a white Chevy Tahoe that was possibly being driven by a woman at the time. A home invasion in Jeffrey Manor left a suspect dead and a person injured. According to reports, around 11 p.m. on Tuesday, a 49-year-old man heard a loud noise at his front door on the 9500 block of South Calhoun. When he went to check out what happened, two masked armed men forced their way inside. The man shouted for help when two other men, ages 24 and 25, heard the shouting and came from the basement. According to police, the three men attempted to fight off the two masked men. During the fight, shots were fired from one of the masked men's weapons. It is unclear from the reports who fired the shots, but one of the suspects was shot in the chest and a 25-year-old man was struck in the arm. After the shooting, the second masked suspect fled the scene. The suspect who was shot died at the scene. The 25-year-old was taken to Trinity Hospital and last reported in good condition. 5 young men were arrested by East Chicago police on Wednesday and are now facing charges. According to reports, about 3:10 p.m., police were called after shots were fired on the 4000 block of Alder Street. A witness told police they saw several males running from the area. They found a group near a home on 3940 Alder Street. Each was reportedly armed. Indiana allows open and concealed carry for anyone over the age of 18, provided they have a license to carry a handgun. According to reports, the 5 were charged with carrying without a license and criminal recklessness. The 5 were identified as 19-year-old Jalen Alexander, 19-year-old Timothy Moore, 20-year-old Lorenzo Brown, 20-year-old Javaris Smith, and an unidentified 17-year-old. All of them were from East Chicago. In other Northwest Indiana news, an East Chicago police officer pleaded guilty to federal embezzlement charges. Francisco Aleman was charged by the U.S. Attorney's Office with defrauding the Fraternal Order of Police's Lodge 59 in East Chicago between 2016 and 2019. According to records, Aleman transferred large amounts of money from the FOP's bank account into his personal bank account. He is reportedly pleading guilty to wire fraud charges, which are punishable by up to 20 years, and is agreeing to forfeit the stolen money and pay $70,151 in restitution. Aleman was a 14-year veteran who worked as a master police officer for the department, earning over $74,000 annually. In an update to 2 stories we posted earlier in the month, the bodies of 2 young men found burned in separate incidents on Chicago's southeast side have been identified. The first was of 20-year-old Michael Ambrosio of Garfield Ridge. Ambrosio's burned body was found in Slag Valley on the 9900 block of South Houston on Tuesday, June 8th. Ambrosio, who drove a red 2010 Ford Mustang convertible with a beige top, had been reported missing by Chicago police for over a month. Cook County medical examiners have still not reported the cause of his death. His family has set up a GoFundMe page with more information located at the bit.ly address on the screen. The second was that of 19-year-old Myron Richardson. Myron's body was found on July 6th on 121st and Doty Road off the Bishop Ford. His body was found in the trunk of a car after someone reported a burning car around 10:30 p.m. An autopsy revealed he had died from a gunshot wound to the head. Richardson was a former student of Morgan Park High School. In a Chicago Sun-Times article, his mother discusses the challenges with getting information from police from the investigation. The article, published in early July, states that out of 362 Chicago homicides so far this year, only 68 arrests were made. As more news outlets report on local Chicago violence and the challenges faced, longtime activists who have worked for years addressing some of the issues provided additional insight. Among them are Theo Hardiman from the Violence Interrupters and United Legion One Nation, aka ULAN, founder Pete Keller. In an interview with Fox News, Keller described some of the ways in which government efforts contributed to the existing state of Chicago violence.
Yeah, you got to think in the 80s, Jesse, there was so much going on with the Reaganomics. And as we know, CIA brought in a lot of drugs to dismantle the family. And so what happened was if the father's gone out of the house, which we call chasing Jason, meaning after the drugs, the mother has to fence now and has to go out and get the job. Now, where does that leave the kids? The kids drift off to the street, join the gangs, and the false sense of love administers between the two. So now if I give you a whole bunch of what we call jab sacks, which is a bunch of crack or heroin, and I tell you, hey, look, now you can go get your Jordans. Now you can go, get the things that you need. Now you have an allowance. And so now my false sense of love hits in. But I don't tell you about you're going to catch a record. You're going to have to run from the police. I'm not going to come visit you while you're locked up. So now this starts the whole escalation of a whole criminal record. And this is what we're faced with here in Chicago.
Keller also discussed how ULAN attempted to intervene in the current state by offering youth alternatives to the violence. Hardiman described the need for organizing and bringing people together to mediate and diffuse conflicts.
Now, we cannot continue to wait because, see, my thing is this. I'm not against the police. I'm not against anybody trying to do some good work. But my thing is we've tried almost everything and anything, right? So that's why I'm saying there's a need for a black army right now, not to go out and kill nobody. I want to make that clear because people say, well, T.O. getting too radical now. He's talking all this militant stuff. I'm saying there's a need for black men to assemble like never before and bring these young brothers to the table in the strongest way possible, Brother Hall. That's what I'm talking about. See, everything.
Other area news, a mother and her two children were taken to the hospital following a fire in South Shore. Around 11 a.m. on Thursday, a high-rise fire located at 7145 South Cyril Court caught fire. The fire began on the 9th floor, and firefighters were able to contain it before it spread, and it was put out around 11:45 p.m. A mother and two children who were on the 13th floor remained in the building. They were taken to Jackson Park Hospital for smoke inhalation and last reported in good condition. During the week, the Chicago City Council voted to approve a civilian oversight board. The ordinance to create the board was approved on Wednesday by a 36-13 vote. The ordinance adds a new chapter 280 titled the Community Commission for Public Safety and Accountability to the City Municipal Code. Chicago's 7th Ward Alderman Gregory Mitchell, that represents South Shore, was among the 12 aldermen who voted in favor of the bill in the Public Safety Committee on Tuesday that helped advance the bill to the full City Council. 10th Ward Alderwoman Susan Salowski Garza, whose ward includes most of the Southeast Side, along with 9th Ward Alderman Anthony Beal, who represents Roseland, Pullman, and Alkeld, and 8th Ward Alderwoman Harris, who represents parts of South Shore and South Chicago, were among those who voted in favor of the ordinance in the final council vote that helped it pass. Under the ordinance, 3-member councils will be elected for each of the city's 22 police districts. The council members would nominate candidates for a 7-member citywide commission appointed by the mayor. The group can nominate 3 people for police superintendent during vacancies, can write new police department policies, and hire and fire the head of COPA. The mayor, however, will retain veto rights over their decisions that can only be overridden with 2/3 vote from the city council. In other city news during the week, a group of Italian Americans gathered in Little Italy at Arago Park to protest the removal of Christopher Columbus statues. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot ordered the statues removed following protests over a year ago. Statues at Arago Park, Grant Park, and South Chicago were removed for what the mayor said was a temporary safety precaution following clashes between police and protesters. Ron Onesti, who is president of the Joint Civic Committee of Italian Americans and one of the organizers of the actions, has called on the city to return all of the statues. Head of the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police, John Catanzara, spoke at the rally and said the statues would not have been removed if the group had protested to protect them. In what seems to be a back-and-forth battle between the City of Chicago Southeast Side activists and Reserve Management, a group of Southeast Side resident activists have launched another lawsuit against the City of Chicago over the Reserve Management Group's new shredding operation, or what activists call General Iron. The group, made up of former 10th Ward aldermanic candidate Reverend Richard Martinez, Jocelyn Rangel, and Ronnie Nicole Faison, had previously filed a federal civil rights complaint against the city for the development. The judge in that case refused to issue an injunction and dismissed the case. RMG is currently awaiting an operating permit for the $80 million shredding site it has built on the east side. The group, led by Martinez, argues that the city's agreement with RMG denies residents their rights to due process under the Illinois Constitution. A separate federal housing investigation is also taking place to determine whether the city violated the civil rights of local residents by facilitating the move. Similar civil rights complaints often result in settlements, and some have claimed that the Southeast Environmental Task Force, under new leadership from the Petco Coalition that was funded by the Alliance of the Great Lakes and Metropolitan Planning Council, has been attempting to negotiate a deal with the city. Both the Alliance of the Great Lakes and the Metropolitan Planning Council have ties to real estate interests that are pushing Southeast Side gentrification and have ties to former Mayor of Chicago Richard Daley. In other news, during the week, outreach workers in Hegewisch began urging residents to get vaccinations. Hegewisch has one of the lowest vaccination rates in the city of Chicago. The 60633 zip code that covers Hegewisch and Alkeld has a vaccination rate of 29.8%. The city rate for vaccinations currently is at 57.4%. Local political leaders claimed that the low numbers were likely related to local residents traveling to Indiana for vaccinations. However, Lake County news sites report that vaccinations in Northwest Indiana were relatively low, and as of the time of this reporting, even for residents, only 40% of people have been fully vaccinated. Outreach workers with the Calumet Area Industrial Commission passed out information to combat the growing misinformation being spread about the vaccines.
We've actually put out flyers that says, this is what the vaccine does not contain, because we heard people saying, I even got to the point where someone said it has horse manure in it.
Instead of listening to Dr. Facebook, listening to the real health experts, the scientists that really had the information.
With the increasing spread of the Delta variant of COVID-19 and mounting evidence that shows both the risk of death and long-term mental and physical health impacts, including of children, more residents are being urged to get vaccinated. Over the weekend, the annual Pierogis Fest returned to Whiting. The fest that was canceled last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic returned in full swing. The annual fest, which is organized by the Whiting-Robertsdale Chamber of Commerce, celebrates Eastern European heritage and food. The fest was started by Whiting residents Marty Dybel, Tom Debertine, and Darlene Berling, who wanted to honor their ancestors and celebrate their heritage. They organized the fest around an Eastern European dumpling called a pierogi. According to the chamber, the fest draws close to 300,000 visitors each year and is the third largest in Indiana. And finally, before we end this week in review, just a few quick announcements. First, a local Southeast Side resident is currently in 4th place for the Dream Chopper and needs your vote to help him finish strong. The Dream Chopper is a contest where one lucky winner will get a bike built by legendary builder Paul Tittle and the Orange County Choppers crew. The winner will also be featured in an upcoming episode of the TV series. You can vote for Joe Cisneros by following the bit.ly address on the screen and voting for him using a free daily vote. Second, several local groups are hosting a school supply donation and giveaway. The giveaway will be hosted on August 14th at 105th and Ewing from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Donations will be collected until August 10th at the Hegewisch Nutrition located at 135th and Brandon, Ocampo Western Wear on 105th and Ewing, or Roma's Restaurant at 92nd and South Chicago Avenue. And that ends our weekly review for July 19th through July 26, 2021. Thank you for joining us for this week in review. Peace.
And I rise